Corbin here from ZoCo Marketing. I am so excited to be sharing this video with you today. This is probably one of the most valuable videos that I've posted on my channel to date. I've spent the last 7 years working inside of Google Ads, spending literally millions of dollars inside of the platform, learning what works and what doesn't, how to beat the competition. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing all of the things that I've learned over those past 7 years with you for free. This is going to be a complete beginning to end step-by-step guide that will teach you every little detail you need to know. I'll even be going over and sharing templates, tools, and checklists that I use to stay organized and build the most effective campaign possible so you can get the most amount of leads possible at the cheapest cost and ultimately grow your business. So I encourage you to watch this video all the way through to ensure that you don't miss out on any of those little details. Now, I do understand that this is a little bit of a longer video, so I encourage you to utilize the timestamps down below to see different sections on where you can skip ahead or go back a couple of different times just to make sure you get things thoroughly and all the way through. You can also go through and listen to this in a slower speed or a higher speed by clicking on the little gear icon down below. And now that we have all of that out of the way, let's actually jump into Google Ads. So now it is actually time to get into the meat and potatoes of this tutorial. We're going to be starting, of course, here inside of Google Ads. If you just go to ads.google.com/home, it will take you to this page where you'll see something that looks something similar to this. Now, up in this top banner, I do encourage you to pay attention to this because as you can see right now, when you spend $500, Google will give you a $500 free credit. That's for people in the United States. This offer may be different depending on where you're living, but just keep that in mind when you are starting a brand new account. So the first thing we're going to do here is hit Start Now. And yours may look a little different because if it's your first ever Google account, it may take you something different, but we're going to hit New Google Ads account here. And you're going to notice it's going to drop you into this little box here that tells you to what is your main advertising goal, get more calls, get more website or leads, and then what is your physical location, or get more people to your physical location. Now, because you're going through this tutorial, we are actually going to be switching, coming down here to this little expert mode. Essentially what this is going to do is it's going to get you to spend more money than you need to. And this is one of the ways that Google tricks people that aren't familiar with Google Ads into basically getting wasted ad spend. So we're going to come over here to switch to expert mode. And this is going to bypass this whole thing that is trying to put you in this bubble so that we can go right in here. And don't worry, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use this. So once you hit switch to expert mode here, it's going to drop you into a campaign, something similar to this. Now, what we want to do is before we even begin creating our campaigns, we want to understand what keywords we want to be bidding on, and we want to understand our account structure. So we're actually going to click on this little button down here that says create an account without a campaign. Now, I have seen sometimes this button is here and sometimes it's not. So if it's not for whatever reason, just go through and create a dummy campaign, and then you'll be able to see the view that we're going to see after we click this button. So we're going to click this right here. Now it's going to ask for our billing information real quick. So we are going to add that. And then now we can actually go through and explore our account. So we're going to click inside of here. Now, this is the Google Ads interface, but before we actually even go through the Google Ads interface and how to do keyword research, I want to make sure that we have a solid understanding on what a Google Ads campaign structure looks like. So if we come over here, here's what I mean. When it comes to Google, there's kind of a hierarchy in how you build out an account. So here is your account. This is your business. So whatever your business may be. For the example today, we are going to be acting as if we were getting leads for a plumber. So this is our account. ZoCo Plumbing is what we'll call it. And then inside of there, you have different campaigns. Now, these campaigns would most likely be different products or services that you offer. For instance, for this campaign one, plumbing might be a campaign, and then a hot water service heater might be another campaign inside of here. And then inside of these ad groups, we'll have different ways that people search for a plumber, emergency plumber, or plumber near me, whatever it may be. Now we're going to be getting more into this account structure and exactly how I do keyword research and the templates that I use to build out an account like this. But I want to make sure that we all have a solid understanding of what that looks like. And then of course, inside of each ad group, you can have multiple ads running and multiple keywords. So now that we have a solid understanding of what the Google ad account structure actually looks like, let's go back over here to Google and let's start building out our campaign. So the first thing we're going to do is come over here to Tools and Settings. We're going to go to Keyword Planner. Now, once we arrive at Keyword Planner, we're going to be greeted with a couple different options. Most of the time, you're going to want to click on this Discover New Keywords, especially if you're brand new to Google. We're going to click on Discover New Keywords, and we want to start with a couple of different keywords. Now, for our example, like I said, I'm going to be acting as if we're going to be building an account for a plumber. We're going to be doing this exactly from A to Z, how to do this. But so for me, basically when you're starting your keyword research and you have no idea where to begin, just think, if I was looking for this product or service, what are the 3 to 5 keywords, things that I would type in Google that would help me find this search? So for instance, if I was looking for a plumber, I would probably be looking for, plumber near me, or even just plumber, emergency plumber, or another one is best plumber, and then I'm just putting enter in here and it's separating out these keywords, best plumber. There we go. And then if you would like, you could go through and add your website inside of here to filter unrelated keywords. But most of the time, I like to keep it a little bit open so I get a broader idea of the keywords that are possible. So now we're going to hit get results here. Now you'll notice here, this little option, this is going to be showing me search terms and search volume for all of the United States. I'm going to show you later how to change that as well. So we're going to hit get results here. And the reason why this is important is if you're running a local business lead gen campaign, then chances are you're probably going to want to do it just in the zip code that you're located. If you're like a B2B software company, you might be showing to the United States or all around the world. So you want to broaden this up. Up here, you can go through and change the location. So for this one, I'm actually going to be changing this so that we are only showing, or we are only targeting people in Las Vegas, let's say. Las Vegas, Nevada. Perfect. We'll save that because that's where our plumbing company is going to be servicing essentially. So here we are, and now we are inside of Google. We are inside of the Google Keyword Planner. The average month, it gives us the average monthly searches and then some of this data inside of here. Now, Google won't give you all of the data, this 3-month change and the year-over-year data, until you actually start running your credit card. It's kind of funny that they've kind of simplified Google Keyword Planner until you actually start giving them money. But that doesn't mean that it still isn't incredibly helpful right now, because you don't really need to know these exact numbers. You just need to have an idea of how much the search volume is going to be for here. Now, it does give you a range of the bids. So as you can see here, here's the top of range bid for this area, and here's the top of bid range lower for this area. Now, if we come through and we actually change this to a different location, let's say maybe Salt Lake City, Utah, target, and then save that, you're going to notice that these values are going to change based on the location as well. So as you see, a drastic change if I'm bidding in Las Vegas versus Salt Lake City, Utah. So now we're going to go through and actually pick our keywords. Now, when I'm first starting off keyword research, one of the things I like to do from the very beginning is just exclude any branded keyword campaigns. And what I mean by that is if we come over here and we go to refine keywords, you're going to notice Google is going to give you branded or non-branded campaigns. And underneath here, under other brands or under plumber, you're going to notice that there are a lot of different brands inside of here: Good Heating and Plumbing, Superior Plumbing, 24-hour plumbing. So for now, I want to exclude those while I'm doing my keyword research. I'll come back later and actually create a competitor campaign, but we're not going to be going over that exactly just yet. So now that we have that all excluded, we are going to exit out of here. And then when I am doing my keyword research, I like to actually group the keywords instead of just picking each one individually, because what you'll find is if you go through and pick the keywords individually, then you got to figure out which groups you want to place them in. And Google has actually made this really easy for us by coming over here and it's going over from keyword view to group view. This is a pro tip right here to make your keyword research a lot easier. And then now, as you can see, Google has kind of grouped all these keywords in one basket for me. And so what I like to do is go through and find particular themes for these keywords. So now let's go through and comb through these keyword ad groups to see which ones are going to be best for our business. So as I'm looking here, heating near me, plumbing and heating near me, that's going to probably be a good one. And then sink and plumbing, and then we have licensed plumber. There's lots of good ones inside of here. Let's just pick this licensed plumber, for instance. What we can do from here now is we can click on this. It's going to copy all of these different keywords right here. And then what you can do is you can click on this and add it to an existing campaign or to a plan. We want to add it to a plan for this very beginning. And then this is going to be our ad group licensed plumber. It had it there and I accidentally just checked out of it. So yeah, we're gonna type that in again. Plumber, and then we can hit create there. And then now we have this ad group licensed plumber. And then next, it's going to ask you for the keyword match type. So it's going to ask for something called broad match, phrase match, and exact match. Now, if you're brand new to Google, this may be a little bit foreign to you, so I want to walk you through this. If we come over here, there's this little handy slide that walks you through the different match types. Now, if you are going to be doing a broad match keyword, essentially what that means is there's no symbols. As you can, there's no symbols at all. And what I mean by that is there's no plus, there's no parentheses, and there's no bracket. And actually, the modified broad match, this one no longer exists, so you don't have to worry about that one. So we're just talking about broad match, phrase match, and exact match. As you can see here, if we're bidding on the keyword tennis shoes, that keyword can also show up for keywords or large variants and close variants. For instance, if we're bidding on the keyword tennis shoes and we have a broad match, we might show up for socks for running because Google deems that as a similar keyword to that particular one. If we have a phrase match keyword with identified by these little parentheses, you're gonna notice if we are bidding on the term tennis shoes, we can only show up for phrases that include that particular keyword. And what that means is that we can show up for Nike tennis shoes, or we can show up for black tennis shoes, or white tennis shoes, or pink tennis shoes. As long as tennis shoes is inside of the keyword phrase that someone's searching for, then we can show up for that ad. And the final one is exact. And that means that the keyword that you are bidding on is the exact thing that you want to show up for. And in this case, it's tennis shoes. Now, when I'm first building out an account, as you can imagine, this is kind of like, this is the broadest one. This is kind of the happy medium in my opinion. And then this is the more of the sniper approach. So when I'm building out a brand new account, typically I like to do all of my keywords as a phrase match to begin with. If I'm not getting enough search volume, then I'll loosen them up into a broad match. Or if I'm spending the budget too rapidly or showing up for terms that I don't want to be showing up for, then I'll adjust them to a phrase match. But majority of the time, I like to start with a phrase match campaign. So now that we have an understanding of that, we can go back over here and we want to add these as a phrase match. Now, from here, there are a couple different things that you can do. You can add these keywords to a plan so that you can see forecasts. But what I actually like to do as well is before I add these to the plan is I like to copy these keywords and I like to come over here to this little template that I have, and I'll leave a link down to this below so you can get a copy as well. And I like to take these keywords and put them in this plan. So now we have licensed plumber and our ad group is called licensed plumber. This is just a great way for you to visualize your account and get an idea of what you're going to be running, especially if you're going to be presenting this to somebody. It's helpful to give them a whole overview. So inside of here, we have the campaign, we have the ad group, then the keywords you're going to be running, and then also negative keywords if you wanted to add them inside of here. And then it has the amount of ads basically that you can go through and run, along with the character count that needs to be. So as you see, this headline is way too long, so it's showing red there. We'll come back to this template. We're going to be building it out and giving you a visual of what this is going to look like. But this is just one of the many tools in this tutorial that I want to share with you because it's something that helps me on my journey on learning Google Ads over the past 7 years. So hopefully this is helpful for you. So now that we have that, we're going to come back over here to Google, and from here we can add this keyword. So now we have our first ad group successfully added, and you can see here it is in the plan and saved. So let's go through and identify a couple more of these, and we're going to kind of rapidly go through them real quick just so you can see what that's like. So now it's coming through here. I like this one, 24-hour plumber or emergency plumber. I think that's another great ad group for us to add. So we're going to grab this. We're going to copy these. We are going to add these to our plan, but this time we are going to add them as a different ad group. We're going to create this ad group and we're going to call this 24-hour. There we go. And we're going to create that. And then we're going to go back over to our template here. And then now we have 24-hour. And then we can copy that inside of there. So now we have our campaigns in there as well. And now I'm going to go quickly go through and build these out. Okay, and this one actually, because we're going for water heater, I'm actually going to break this out into its own campaign. So I'm going to copy this little section right here, Command C, Command V, and then we're going to go back over to our keyword ideas. We're going to grab this, copy these, and I want this to be actually in its own campaign. So I'm going to grab these and copy them here. And the reason why I want these to be in their own campaign is because a tankless water heater repair is usually a higher cost and a higher profit margin if you are a plumber. And so because of that, I want to be bidding differently and have different budgets separated out by like that. So if you have a product that is vastly different in price or the way that people are searching, I recommend breaking them out into their own campaigns. So here we have we're going to call this our water heater campaign. So now we are starting to build out the whole campaign structure. We have our plumber campaign, we have our water heater campaign, and then our water heater ad group, our keywords inside of here. You're going to notice we have this section for negative keywords. Now you don't have to necessarily worry about that too much in this point. We can come back over here and actually go through and identify a few of them. You know, as I'm going through, maybe let's say I don't do gas plumbing. And so as you see here, we have like gas plumbing. Let's say I don't offer that service. So maybe I want to grab that guy, bring it over here, and then add it to my negative keyword list. I encourage you to look through all the different keywords to maybe get an idea of some of the things that people might be searching for and adding those as negative keywords. Another one for plumbing is maybe like how to how to, because you don't want people searching for DIY solutions or like DIY plumbing or things like that, because it means that they're searching more for a resource to teach them how to do something as opposed to hiring out a plumber. So how to or DIY or something along those lines, something to be thinking about as negative keywords. And negative keywords, of course, I realized I didn't really explain those, are keywords that we don't want to show up for. Essentially, they're a way to block Google from showing our keyword if it includes some of these terms inside of here. So now we have these keywords and they are inside of our plan. Now I want to show you how you can start calculating how much this is going to cost you, how to forecast your budget, how to understand what profitability may look like for you. So now we have these inside of our plan. We can come over here and we can go to the keyword plan. And as you can see, this is going to take us to a view that is going to give us a forecast of how much we could spend based on the keywords that we've added to our plan. Now, as you can see here right off the bat, it says we can spend around $86,000 a month. When I do come in here, you'll notice that it usually changes the location that you're targeting. So we want to exit out of that and go back to the specific location that we want to target. We want to go back to Salt Lake City, hit save. And then what that's going to do is it's going to give you now a forecast on how much it thinks you can be spending. Now, I will say this isn't always 100% accurate, but it does give you a very good baseline on what kind of to expect. And what I like to do is take a couple of different numbers here. Now you can see this is based on a 4% conversion rate. I do recommend getting an idea of if you have an idea of what your conversion rate is, you can come through and change that. As you see, we can change this to maybe 2% conversion rate. And as you see, our cost per acquisition will go up pretty dramatically based on that. But for plumber, let's say that our average is 4% and save. What I like to do from here is to take these numbers and come over to another handy template that we have here and take this average cost per click and then our average conversion rate. So we're going to come over here. We're going to go to our budget calculator, and then we want to do our ad spend per month. So Google is telling us that we can spend around $1,600. So we're going to do $1,600. And then our average cost per click, and obviously, as you can see here, the instructions are fill in the orange boxes. So our average cost per click is going to be $2.81. So we can come back over here. And this is how you figure out if Google ads can be profitable for your business or not. And then our lead to form conversion rate, we're saying it's going to be 4%. So we're going to keep that there. As you can see, our cost per lead is going to be $70, just like Google is telling us right here. But what Google doesn't tell you or forecast is the close rate, or the amount of these leads that are going to be qualified. So let's say that of the leads that come into Google, let's say that maybe 85% are actually qualified, people that are looking for our services or things that we offer, or whatever it may be. So that leaves us with 19 total qualified leads. And let's say of those qualified leads, I feel like for plumbing, it may be pretty high. So let's feel really good about ourselves and say that we close 60% of that leads, 60% of those leads. What that leaves us with is 12 total sales. Now, to be very honest with you, I don't know what the average order value of a plumber may be, but my guess, we'll just say that it's maybe around $1,500 we get for every time we go out and service somebody. And what that does is it ends up giving us a gross revenue of $17,000. Cost of ad spend is $1,600. Other costs, you can go through and calculate this or change that however you would like, labor or whatever it may be. And then our gross profit is $14,000, leaving us a return on ad spend of 900% essentially. Now, if we played around with these numbers a little bit, we could kind of get an idea of where we would land if things were to change. Like let's say that our average cost per click went up to doubled and was $4. All of a sudden, our return on ad spend is only at 400 instead of 900. And let's say on top of that, maybe that we got, instead of a 3 or 4% conversion rate, we got a 3% conversion rate. All of a sudden now we're looking at a 3 ROAS essentially. So I encourage you to go through and use this template and play with the numbers before you start running a lead generation campaign to understand exactly how much you can be spending and the metrics that you need to be hitting before you hit go on the campaign. I can't stress how important this is, so that when you start running the campaign, sometimes people think that they're producing leads for a really cheap cost, but it turns out that none of them are qualified. Maybe this is, you know, over 55%. And now all of a sudden we're only getting to 1.27 return on ad spend. And then the sales team maybe only closes, 40% of them or whatever or 40%. And so now we are actually down in the hole. For every dollar we're giving Google, we're actually losing money. We're only getting 25 cents back, essentially, is what that's saying. So I encourage you to use that as the forecast tool, and this tool combined to understand what your actual sales cycle may be. And once again, all this entire Google Ads toolkit is linked down below if you wanted to get your hands on the same thing. So now we're going to come back over here to this forecast, and we are looking pretty good here. We have our campaign, we have our ad groups all built. Now it is time for us to actually go through and create the campaign. Now you can go through and click here and to create campaign. It will take the ad groups that you have and build them into one. But as I mentioned, I want to put these into two separate campaigns. So I'm actually going to now exit out of this campaign. And because I have these keywords saved in this account structure right here, I can easily copy and paste them into this next part that I'm going to show you. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to exit out, and we're going to come back out again. And now it is time for us to finally create a campaign. Hopefully you're finding this valuable so far. Not a lot of people teach about how to actually build stuff out from the beginning. They just go right into building the campaign. So hopefully this is helpful. But now we're actually going to get to building our campaign. So we're going to hit click here. We're going to go to new campaign. And for us, we want to run a lead generation campaign. Now we're going to hit leads here. And what Google is going to tell us, we're going to hit search, and then right here, we currently don't have a conversion action set up. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you how to set up a conversion action. Basically, this is telling us this is a way for us to see which campaigns actually bring in leads. So stick around until the end to make sure that, or not till the end, but stick around until a little bit later until I show you how to do that. And if you can get one thing from this video, don't run your campaigns until you have your conversions set up. But we're going to come back to that after. We're going to come back to this soon. So for the campaign name, we are going to call this Salt Lake. So I'm going to say SLC. The location is how I like to name it, and then the actual name of the campaign. So we're going to call this plumbing, and then I like to just call this search. So that's just the naming convention I like to use. You can obviously name this whatever you would like that makes it noticeable for you. And then we're going to hit next. Now we arrive at budget, and for the budget, it's at a daily level. And as you can see here, for the month, you won't pay any more than your daily budget, but sometimes there will be times where Google has identified days where you can get more. And so say that your budget is $50, maybe they'll spend 60 in one day and then 40 on the next. But if your budget is $50 a day, it will never spend more than that 50 times 30, which is $1,500 essentially. And it just so happens that that's what our budget is. Based on the forecast that we had, it says Google, we should set our budget somewhere around but this budget calculator here, somewhere around $1,600. So that puts us at about $53 a day. So that's going to be the budget that we are going to be setting for this campaign. And then now it is time to move on to the bidding. And now it is going to take us onto the bidding, where we're going to be greeted with a couple different options. The first one is for conversions, conversion value, and then other optimizations. We have clicks and impression shares. You're going to notice that conversion type bidding and conversion value are grayed out right now for this account because we haven't yet set up conversion tracking. However, when you're setting up a brand new account, and if you don't have any conversion data already in your account, I do recommend starting out with a click bidding strategy. The reason for that is that if when you're using a conversion bidding strategy, Google is optimizing for that lead. And if you don't have any data inside of there, the algorithm doesn't know where to show your ads or who to place it to. Starting out with a manual one and then graduating to a conversion value is the way to go. And so now we're going to choose the clicks bidding strategy. And then it's going to ask us to set a maximum cost per click limit. We're going to set this around 7 because that was based on the keyword research that we did, the high and low bids. Now, there's a common misconception when people start Google Ads, and they think that the Google shows the first position is the person that's willing to bid the most. Now, that is partially true, but not fully true. The way that Google assesses which ad goes first, second, or third is actually a little bit more complicated than that, but actually kind of simple. And I want to explain basically the three different ingredients that Google uses to determine which person actually shows up in the first spot. So we're going to come over here to these slides, and I want to explain this very important concept to you. Now you notice here the ad position. This tells you this is the person that shows up in the first position, second position, third position, fourth position. Now you'll notice here that this is us. We're the best advertisers. We're number one basically, right? Because you're watching this video, but this is us. You'll notice that our max cost per click is $3, but we are showing up in the first position. Now you may be wondering, why is that the case when this person over here who is bidding actually the highest is showing up in fourth place? Now this is a theoretical example, of course, and sometimes you may be bidding in the middle but be showing up at the top, or bidding the least and showing up at the top. But as you can see here, the way that Google assesses which advertiser shows up first is not only your max bid, it's your quality score equals your ad rank. So your max bid times your quality score gives you your ad rank. And as you can see here, if you're bidding $3 but your quality score is really high, then Google is going to give you a higher ad rank, and you get to pay less for that top of position. And the reason why Google does this is because at the end of the day, Google needs people searching on Google for them to make money. So they want this to be the best experience for a user. And so as a result, they don't want just somebody who can pay a ton that goes to a crappy landing page or has a horrible ad experience for the user so that they never go back to Google again. Now you may be asking, Corbin, well, that's great that that the ad rank is based on your max click bid and then also your quality score, but what the heck is a quality score? And then there's this great slide right here to explain that. Your quality score is your expected click-through rate, so the amount of times that it is expected that people will click on your ad, plus your ad relevance. So if you're if somebody's searching for plumber near me and you are a plumber near that person and it satisfies that search, then you're going to be highly relevant. And then the landing page experience gives you your quality score. Now the landing page experience there's many different factors that go into that. If the keyword's inside of the landing page, if it loads fast, if it actually satisfies the search of the user, lots of different things inside of there. But I wanted to make sure that we're clear that it's not just how much you are bidding that makes you show up in the very first position. So now that we've gone on that little bit of a tangent, let's actually head back over to the account. We have our max CPC all done and dandy, and we're going to hit next. And here is something that is important to understand. Google tries to get you to trick you to spend more money. For sometimes this may be good to opt inside of these, but for most of the time you're going to want to exclude these. Basically, the search network and display network are breakoffs of Google search, of the actual search results, and it can eat up your money. So it's funny, Google tells you reach additional customers by doing this or get more at a similar CPA, but I recommend when you're starting and you have a slim budget, exiting out of both of those. And for our location, we want to enter this location here. We want to target Salt Lake City specifically for this one. I'm going to hit target. And then from here, we have our languages and we're going to hit now next. And then here is where we get into our actual our ad group keywords. And from here, this is where we can go back over to our little template that we built, which makes it really nice because the ad group that we want to do here is just licensed plumber. We're going to copy that inside of there, and then we can take all of our keywords inside of here, and then we want to make these, grab all these guys, come over here, and then we can just copy and paste them inside of here. Now, you'll notice here that we are now, right now, these are all technically broad match campaigns because they don't have this little parentheses next to them. If these were phrase matched, we would have them look like this. But there's an easy way that I'm going to show you how to change that later instead of going through each of these keywords and having to add the parentheses like you're seeing me do right here, which can get really tedious and annoying. So we're going to leave these just as they are. We're going to exit out of there. So now it is actually time to go through and write our ad. Now, if you did want to go through and build out your ads in this template right here, so it's easy for you to just go through and copy and paste, you could have done that. But a lot of times, honestly, I don't go through and copy them inside of here. I find it is easier to use this template here sometimes, but then I'll actually just build them inside of the account. So here we are, we have our final URL that we need to add, and we're going to come back to that and what a good landing page looks like, especially for a lead generation campaign. We're going to come down and we're going to start with building out this headline. Now you'll notice up here, we have this ad strength. You can see it's incomplete, and it gives us what we need to do in order to get this to a excellent ad essentially. And you'll see the bar slowly fill up as we add more information inside of here. Now for the very first headline, what I like to do is hit this little hit curly bracket on your computer. And what that's going to do is and this is a little a pro tip basically, it's going to drop down a couple of different options, one of them being keyword insertion. If you click on that, what I like to do is take my main keyword, which is licensed plumber. I like to do title case, copy that or add that inside of here. So licensed plumber. And what that is going to do is it's going to match the exact search query that somebody's looking for and actually show that inside of my ad. So as long as the search query is under 30 characters and matches my keyword criteria that I've defined inside of Google, it is going to show that exactly in my ad. And now what that does is obviously adds a ton of relevance to the user's search term, because if your ad shows exactly the word for word what they're searching for, it's incredibly powerful. So I recommend doing this pretty much every single time. And as you see, what that does is it adds a lot of these, it gives us a check marks on all of these different headlines, so that sometimes we'll show up for best licensed plumber near me, cheap licensed plumber near me, and it covers a lot of different options. So we'll hit apply there. And then now I'm just gonna basically go through and write this ad, and we'll be back shortly. All right, and we're back. And as you can see, I've gone through and added 9 or so headlines and a few different descriptions. Now, the way this works is Google basically takes these descriptions, or these headlines and descriptions that you see here, and as you see, they go through and test them in real time to see which one actually gets you the higher click-through rate. So the more options you give Google, the better off. As you hear some examples of what these ads will end up looking like. Now, one pro tip is if you do want one certain headline to show up first every time, you can click this little pin button and you can have it say that you only want it showing in the first position every single time, or second position, third position. But most of the time I recommend letting Google go through and test those different headlines. Now you notice here we have all of these now checked. Basically, we've added headlines, included popular keywords. We've gotten that all the way filled up, but it's not giving us our ad strength yet because we haven't added our final URL up here. Now, I do want to take a second to stress the importance of your final URL, especially when it comes to lead generation campaigns and being able to rapidly test what may or may not be working. You're going to be spending a lot of time and money sending people to these pages, and so you want to make sure they're optimized to the fullest ability. Now, one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make with lead generation campaigns, or when they're just getting started, is they just send people directly to their homepage. Now, I very rarely do I recommend people doing that because you're not able to control the environment. You're having campaigns where people are searching for specific things and it's not matching the exact intent. And as a result, if we come back over to this slide, if you remember, landing page relevance is a big part of what gets you a higher quality score. Now, there are lots of different tools to create landing pages out there, but my personal favorite one to use is a tool called Unbounce. Unbounce allows you they have lots of great templates and ways for you to easily test your landing pages. It makes it super simple to build out lots of different landing pages, because honestly, for every single ad group that you have, you're going to want a specific landing page for that. And let me show you what I mean. So here is my ZoCo marketing /plumbing. This is a page that I was able to build in literally just like 2 or 3 minutes. It makes it super easy. It's a drag and drop platform. And as you can see, for this specific campaign, I have licensed and insured plumbers serving Salt Lake since 1999. Now, I can't overstate how important this actually is. As you can see here, there's a reason why this says licensed and insured plumbers serving Salt Lake since 1999. Now, if you look at this ad group, all of our keywords are licensed plumber near me, licensed plumber. This ad group is specifically focused on keywords related to licensed plumber. You want whatever page you're sending people to match that entire journey. Figure they went to Google, they typed in licensed plumber, they saw an ad that says licensed plumber, and then now when they click that ad, they expect to go to a page that speaks to that same language, that tells them that they are in the right place. Don't underestimate how powerful this actually is to match that language all the way through. And that's why I like using a landing page builder to go through and do that. If we come over here, for instance, it's super easy to go through and adjust these. So say that I did want to go through and change this to a different wording, I can click here and edit. This will load up, and then now I can come in here and let's say that our keyword was now emergency plumber. So emergency plumber. Now, of course, the headline isn't the only thing that matters here. You're going to want to go through and change some of the other elements inside of this landing page, but it makes it super easy for you to drag and drop and change images or do all sorts of different things. I'll have a full tutorial on Unbounce coming out soon. If you wanted to follow along, I'll have that coming out, but it's really self-explanatory to get started with Unbounce. Now, if you are interested in getting started with Unbounce, I do have links down below. They are affiliate links. They do give you 20% off your first 3 months and a 14-day free trial. So you can go through and try Unbounce out risk-free for that 14 days and then get 20% off for the next 3 months. So if you are thinking about using Unbounce, I encourage you to go check out that link down below. It is an affiliate link, so it does support the channel if you go through that, and I do appreciate it. But we're going to come back over here now that we've kind of gone through and played with that page, and we're going to get this guy right here. We're going to come back over. We're going to copy that. Then we want this to be HTTPS. And then for this display path, we are going to call this licensed. And then now that is going to give us our ad quality score. And as you see, we are at good. So we are, I encourage you to keep going until you get this to excellence and wordsmithing it here a little bit. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to call that good as it is. We're now going to hit next. Google is now going to ask us for site link extensions. And basically what site link extensions are is if we could type, let's search plumber near me here. Plumber near me. You'll notice here is what site link extensions look like. So you have drain clogs, water treatment, and essentially if I click on this, it's going to take me to a specific landing page that talks about local plumber. If I click on one of these, what it's going to do is you can see down here in the left-hand corner, it'll take you to a page that talks specifically about drain clogs or water treatment. So what I recommend with your site link extensions is to go through and add one. So this one maybe might be water heater or as you see the example here of this plumber, they have drain clogs and water treatment as their site link extensions. And what you would have here, I don't have the page built out because it's a theoretical example, but would be like www.plumber.com that leads them to, you know, / water heater or whatever it may be. And essentially it just gives people different options to navigate your site. And it, as you can see here in this example, it's taking up a lot more real estate than the competition here. Now, site link extensions won't always show up, but I always recommend adding them to every single one of your campaigns, because when they do show up, this, I mean, you can see this, they take up almost half of the search engine results just right from these site link extensions. So we're not going to add them here, but I do encourage you to go through and add site link extensions for at least 4 of them for your campaigns. And you can add descriptions as well, which is recommended but not required. But we're going to hit cancel here because I don't have an actual website to add these site link extensions, and Google won't take those URLs. We're going to scroll down. And here is something that's important, especially for people that are wanting to get phone calls. Now, you'll notice inside of this landing page, when somebody comes here, there's a phone number and then there's also the form. But for a service like this, chances are you're going to be getting just as many calls as you are people filling out the form. And so if that is the case, I do recommend coming through here and filling out this call extension. And what that does is you basically add your number. When people click on it on mobile, it will call that phone number directly. So this is critical for a lead generation campaign. If you want more phone calls, I do recommend going through and adding the phone number here and then hitting save as well. There are multiple other ad extensions inside of Google, but for now, those are the ones that we're going to be going over. I will be creating a full tutorial on all the different ad extensions that you can add in a coming video, so be sure to subscribe if you are interested in that. And then now we are going to hit next. And then it is now going to it's going to give us this actually very important error. It's going to say conversions. This campaign does not have conversion tracking set up to track leads yet. So we're going to publish this campaign, and then I'm going to show you how to go through and set up conversion tracking next. So we're going to hit publish campaign here. So after you click that button, you will arrive on a view that looks something similar to this, where we have our campaign here. Now I'm going to go through and pause this campaign because I don't want to run a campaign until the conversion tracking is set up. So we're going to go through and set up the conversion tracking right now. After we set up the conversion tracking, I'm going to go over some of the more advanced ways to lower your cost per lead or increase the amount of leads that you're doing that not a lot of people know about. So be sure to stick around after that, but let's go through and set up our conversion tracking really quick, and then we'll go into those tips next. We're going to be doing this inside of Unbounce, but this applies to pretty much any type of website. It's the exact same steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to start over here, and we're going to go to Tools and Settings, and then we're going to go to Conversions. From here, it is going to ask you to set up a new conversion action. And so we're going to hit new conversion action here. And then we want to track a website. And you can go through and enter your website inside of here, and Google will actually scan to see if they can kind of basically set up the conversions for you. This is a newer feature, but most of the time it's not going to work exactly perfect. So I do recommend going through and setting this up yourself. So we are going to scroll down here and add this manually. We're going to add this conversion action. And there's a few different settings that we'll go through in here. The first one is the goal category. This is going to be a submit lead form for us. The conversion name, we're going to call this, submit lead form. Just keep it that way. You could name this whatever you'd like say that we wanted to do this, plumbing lead or whatever it may be. But I like to just keep it form submit so that I know exactly what it is. Submit there. For the value, you could use the same value for each conversion. Now, because this is a lead, chances are you don't know the exact value of this, but say that you know a lead is worth, around $50 to that, you could do that. Or if you wanted to just keep it at $1 for now, that's totally fine. Or you can do not assign a value for this conversion. Honestly, when I am running lead gen campaigns and I don't know the actual value of that lead, this is usually what I do check right here. But because I have a general idea for this plumbing lead that it's going to be around $50, we're going to leave it there. So either do this one or this bottom one. And then count, we want to do 1. What that means is for leads specifically, if somebody goes and fills out the form twice, it won't fire 2 different conversions for us. For these settings, I recommend keeping them just as they are. And then we're going to hit done here. Then we're going to hit save and continue. And now we're going to be greeted here with 2 different options, and we're going to have to copy and paste 2 different codes onto our website. Now, this is really easy. It's essentially just copying and pasting. As you can see here, you just click this copy button, and here it says below is the Google tag for the account. To establish connection between Google Ads and your website, you need to paste this on every single page of your website in the head tag. So this is the first one we're going to do, and Unbounce makes this really easy. So we're going to go over here into settings, and then we're going to go to script manager, and we want to add our first script. We want this to be a custom script. We're going to call this Google Ads. Add the script. Then from here, we want this to be, as it said in the instructions, we want it to be in the head section. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to add this in the head, and then we want to be on all pages of our website. Makes it really easy. So going forward, whenever we create a new page in Unbounce, this code will automatically be added as well. Then we're going to click that there, and then we are going to save and publish. So there is the first tag. That is all done. Now we need to come back over here to our Google Ads account, and then we need to get the actual lead form. So this is just tracking the page view, but now what we need to do is grab the actual conversion event and put that on our thank you page. So when somebody comes to my page right here, here is the form that they will see. After they fill out that form, you'll notice that they'll get redirected to this page right here, which is the thank you page. And this is the same steps you would do on any other website as well, whether you're on Unbounce or whatever it may be. But we're going to grab this. We're going to see this event tag, and we are going to copy this on the page load. Then we're going to come back over, in my case, over here to, should we save these? I'm pretty sure we did already, but then we're going to come over to the page. We're going to go to our actual thank you page, and we're going to put this code directly on there. And what this is going to do is it's going to tell Google when somebody lands on this page, fire it as a conversion, because they can only get to this page if they fill out the form. So we're going to click inside of here in this thank you page, and we are going to hit edit. And all we are simply going to do is click on this little JavaScript right here, add new JavaScript. And don't worry, it's not scary. You're just copy and pasting basically. We're going to hit add. We're going to place this on the head as well, because it says to put it in the head right there. We're going to come back over here and then copy this code, and then done. And then we are going to save those changes. And that is how easy it is to actually go and set up conversion tracking. So now what we'll do is we'll come back over here to our Google Ads. We will hit close and then done. And then now that is going to be firing inside of here this form submit. So that then takes us to a view that looks something like this, where we have our conversion action right here. And as you can see, it currently the status is unverified, and we can go through and troubleshoot that. So let's go through real quick and make sure that tag is firing correctly. In my experience, usually the status takes a minute to go through and actually get verified. But if we come over here to our pages, what you're going to need to actually do is go to Google and then search for Google Tag Assistant. From here, you can then go to just usually like the first one or whatever it may be, and you're going to want to download this Chrome extension called Google Tag Assistant. When you download that, you'll see a little guy up inside of here. If you don't see it, you can go through and add it, pin it to your Chrome extension, then come over to your landing page, and you're going to notice here on this Chrome extension, if we reload this, there is a 2 there now, and this is showing me that my global site tag is showing, and Google Ads Remarketing tag is showing on the main page, which is what we want. And then if we went through and filled out this form and landed on the thank you page, now you can see in this right hand corner there are 3 tags showing, and here is our Google Ads conversion tracking tag firing correctly in the proper spot. So that's how you know that the tag is working and everything is going well. So now we can come back over here. As I mentioned, this is going to take a little bit of time to go through and verify, but that's totally fine. So we're going to come back over here, and here's where you can go through and actually enable that campaign inside of there. Now remember, this is only one of the campaigns and one of the ad groups that we had in our template over here. Obviously, you'd want to go through and create more of those ad groups and this campaign as well. For the purpose of this tutorial though, I think you get the point, and it'd be boring for me to go through and build that all out. But that is what I would go through and do next. But if we come back over here to Google, I do want to spend some time talking about a little bit more of different ways that you can increase the amount of leads that you're getting or decrease the cost per lead with some features that very few people know about inside of Google. So here's a couple of these different features that you can use to increase your lead flow. So the first one is if we come over and we click into this campaign, we're going to click in here, and then we're going to come to add and extensions. And if we come over to extensions, there's lots of different extension types. I do recommend going through and adding, as we talked about, site link extensions, call out extensions, structured snippets, and then also there's other ones inside of here that are kind of hidden. So if we click this little blue plus button, you're gonna notice there are a multitude of more extensions inside of here. But the one I want you to pay attention to, especially if you are collecting leads, is the lead form extension. If we click inside of here, basically what this ends up doing is, if you're familiar with Facebook lead gen forms, then it's very similar. Instead of taking a person to a landing page, somebody can come to your ad, click on the ad, and then it will drop down a form that looks something like this, where they can go through and fill out their information and send it on. It's a very seamless experience where users basically are filling out a form in a couple clicks. And if they already are familiar with what they need or what they want, this can be a really good thing to test for your business. Now, I will say I have had mixed results with this lead gen form when I test it for companies. Either one, people aren't filling out the form, or two, it brings in a ton of leads and they're actually like pretty good, or three, those leads come in and none of them are really high quality. So I would recommend, if you are running a lead generation campaign, to go through and set this up. Essentially, all you need to do is create your, you go through and add your headline, the business name, description, and then you can choose the questions that you want to add on there. Like say you wanted to go through and add multiple fields. I would recommend, if you are going to run this, to add as many fields as possible to filter out the garbage form fields that may come in with this. And then from there, you can do your private, you'll have to add your privacy policy to your website, and then a thank you and an easy call to action. So something that I definitely recommend if you are looking into lead gen forms. So that's tip number one. Now let's move on to the next one. We're going to exit out of this, and we are going to come back to our main view here where we have all of our campaigns. We're going to click on that. So now let's go through and talk about tip number two to really help enhance your campaigns, and that is through audience segments, especially on your search campaigns. This is something that is very underutilized. If we come into our campaign right here and we click inside of it, we want to go into this SLC plumbing search campaign, and then we click on this audiences right here. And this is going to take us to the audience, and this is going to take us to audience segments and demographics. Once you start running your campaign, you're going to see age demographics, gender, and household income. But what's really powerful about this right now that we can do is we can add something called audience segments. And if we click inside of here, there's lots of different audience segments that we can do. And I kind of want to walk through some of those. Without getting too into the technicality of this, when you're first adding audiences, as you see, it's recommended that you start with observe. Then later on, you can narrow and go to targeting. Essentially with observe, it's exactly what it sounds like. We are adding this to our campaign as a data segment so that we can see if people fall into these categories, how they are acting with these campaigns. Now, if we went and hit target here, we would only be targeting people who say hit our landing pages or interested in plumbing services. So we're going to keep it on observe. I recommend keeping it on observe from your campaigns from the beginning and then going through and optimizing that later. But as you can see here, there are lots of different targeting options, and Google, based on our website, is now already recommending a few to us. So right here, based on our website, we can target people who are interested in plumbing services. As you can imagine, Google has a lot of data on people and the things that they're interested in and looking to do. And so this is going to be a great audience for us to target. Electrical services, we don't want that. Plumbing fixtures, perfect. Home cleaning services, those are all awesome. Plumbing and hardware. And then let's just type in plumbing and see if we can find anything else in this audience. I think another one would be good is just homeowners. So if we target homeowners inside of here, because chances are only the homeowner is going to be calling the person for, there we go, homeowners right there. So we found it. So I encourage you, whatever your industry is, whether you're a B2B software or you're a plumber or roofer, whatever it may be, I encourage you to come in here and search for this. So for instance, if we were like a software company, we could go in and type, business. Let's just type in business and see what comes in. Business professionals, social media enthusiasts, business services. So in market for business services, that's a really good one. In market for productivity software, in market for accounting software, for business education, tax preparation software. So as you see, if you are selling software or business to business, there's lots of opportunities to target inside of here as well. Whatever your niche is, I encourage you to come in and browse through this. You can come to this browse and you can do either detailed demographics, affinity audiences, in market, or data that you've gone through and created, which is like our remarketing and stuff like that. But this is a very powerful tool for you to get a better understanding of which of these audiences are actually performing. And later on, after you've added these audiences, you can come back in here and you can actually do bid adjustments to say, okay, say that maybe this audience right here, this plumbing fixture and hardware parts, is performing really well. Let's bid double for that audience, because when they are searching for our keywords and they're in this audience, we do really well. So those are, and then maybe there's an audience that does not very well, so we can bid half the price on that. So very powerful things you can do inside of there. So we're going to save that. And then now I briefly want to touch on negative keywords. I know that we talked a little bit about negative keywords when we were doing keyword research, but I do want to be sure that you have a solid negative keyword list in place for when you first start running your campaign. Now, there are a couple different areas where you can add negative keywords. You can add them at the campaign level or at the ad group level. As I mentioned, for these home services, I really want to avoid people that are like DIYs or wanting to do it themselves. So I actually have this list that I've gone through and kind of compiled over the days. It has basically things that you want to exclude. So if you're wanting to exclude people that are looking for education or bargain shoppers, or in this case, DIYers, I like to go through and grab this list basically right here. I'll comb through it real fast and make sure that nothing that I don't want to show up for, or that I want to show up for, is in it. Everything looks good. So I'm going to come over to my negative keyword list, and then I'm going to paste that down below. So it's a way for you to get a head start on your negative keywords, because I don't want people that are looking for do-it-yourself or homemade. How can I do this? Because chances are they're looking for a YouTube video or some sort of how-to thing, instead of actually trying to, as I mentioned, contact a professional. So this negative keyword list has lots of different negatives that you can do, like job related, if you want to avoid people that are looking for jobs, or research based essentially. I'll leave a link down to this below as well if you wanted to get your hands on this too, just to enhance your negative keyword list. So we're going to save that now that we have, we got to select our campaign here. So we'll do our SLC search plumbing. And there, that is all in place. So now let's go back now to our home where we see our main campaign. Oh, and one other thing that I want to mention, everything that we're covering in today's video is actually in this little checklist in the first little tab. When you get this Google Ads toolkit, it'll walk you through everything that you need to know. It even has like guides and documentation, and then helpful tools that I use for all of these different things. So just a heads up there, there's also a checklist here for you to go by step as well. Now let's talk about the next big thing that you can do to increase lead volume and lead flow, and that is setting up remarketing. Now, remarketing is something that is sometimes very underutilized when it comes to lead generation campaigns. Essentially, when somebody's coming to your landing page and they hit that landing page, but they don't fill out a form, we want to be showing up and reminding those people of our product or service in this case. And so let's go through and create a quick remarketing campaign and show you how that works. So the first thing that we need to do to set up a remarketing campaign is come over to tools and settings, and we need to set up the audience that we want to be targeting. Now you're gonna notice here we don't have any audiences because it's a brand new account. We're gonna hit this plus button, and then we want to go to website visitors. From here, we're going to call this people. We'll just name this hit landing page didn't convert. And for this one particularly, we want to hit this option, visitors of a page who did not hit another page. And what that essentially means is we want to remarket to people who hit our landing page here, but did not hit our thank you page. In other words, they came to our landing page, they were interested in a plumbing service, but they didn't fill out the form for whatever reason. So we're gonna go over here, and the page URL, we're gonna do contains, and then we want this to be our URL right here, plumbing. And then you could add an or statement here, but we're going to keep this really simple. And then we want this to be unvisited page. The page URL contains, and then we're just going to do this thank-u here. And then this gives you a pre-fill option. So if you had been running the campaign for, say, the last 30 days, it would automatically capture the audience from there. I do recommend just keeping all of these options just as they are. And then we want to create segment. Perfect. Now Google is going to go through and populate the search size, the YouTube size, and the display size for all of these. Of course, because this is a brand new landing page, it is going to be really small and probably not usable essentially. But we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to create a campaign that targets these people with banner ads. So now we're going to go back over here, and we want to create a new campaign, and we want this to be for leads as well. We want to hit continue. And then for this one, we want it to be a display campaign. We want to show up for banners and things when people have essentially left our site. And then we want to choose this standard display campaign. You can add your business name here if you would like. And we will just call this remarketing. Keep it easy, hit continue. Now for here, we want to make sure we target our specific location. So for us, it is going to be Salt Lake. And a lot of this you're gonna notice is very similar to some of the other settings. English, we'll keep that there. More settings, these all look good. Keep those as they are, hit next. And then for our budget, we want to keep this really small. So we're going to put this at $5 a day for this one. And then we want to optimize for high quality traffic. And then here we want to automatically maximize the traffic. We're going to hit next. And then now this is the important part. This is where you go through and add your targeting. So we click on this, and then the audience segments is what we want to focus on. So we're going to click on that. And then from here, you can go through and browse, and we want to find we want to find this one right here, how they're interacting with your business. If we click on that and then we go to website visitors, you're going to notice that the new audience that we just created inside of here is in this dropdown. You're going to notice that the audience size is 0 because we just created this landing page. But if we hit that there and then now hit next, we now are going to solely be targeting the people that hit that page, but did not fill out our form. So now we can go through and actually fill out the final URL. So we'll say that, for instance, that they're just going to go to, www. We'll call this ZoCo Plumbing. And then now this is where we can go through and add up to 15 images. You could either have Google scan your website and it will find images for you, or you can upload them directly, or they have these nice stock images. Let's see if we can find a nice one of a plumber inside of here. There we go. There's a few nice ones. So let's just say that we wanted to show up these. I do recommend going through and creating your own specific banner ads for these, but this can work as well if you're in a pinch. And notice that it does show Shutterstock right here, but it says the watermark will not appear in your actual ad. So we can select these couple ratios, and let's say that we really like this one as well. Grab a couple of those, select those, and save. I do recommend adding up to 15 images because then it just gives Google more things to go through and test. But for now, we'll call that good. Save those there. You can go through and add your logo as well. We'll just upload one of these, or we'll have it scan this one, just my actual logo there, and save that. And then as you can see, this is optional, but if you do have video assets, I do recommend adding them inside of there. And this is going to start giving you an idea of what the ads will look like essentially. Now this is pulling stuff from my website, so we actually want to scroll down and we're going to want to edit these to show different requirements here. So I'm going to go through and fill out these headlines just like the Google search ads. Okay, and I now just went through and added a few different headlines and a few different descriptions inside of here. You're going to notice that we still have an ad strength of average. It wants me to go through and add maybe a couple of videos and descriptions. So I do recommend, if you are actually going to run this campaign, to go through and make sure you get that at least to good or excellent. But then from here, it shows you an idea of what these are going to look like. These are the creepy banner ads that follow people around the internet after you visit a specific site. You can see $99 off your first service. You can go through and see what this will look like on mobile and also desktop. And it basically just goes through and creates a nice, a bunch of different banner ads for you that makes it really simple and really easy to do. So from there, we can now go through and save this campaign. We're going to hit next here. It is going to tell us all of the different settings, and just to be sure that we go through and review those. So we have our remarketing campaign, and as you see, it's telling us that our targeting signals are too narrow, of course, because nobody's really in that audience. But we have our remarketing campaign, display leads, and then we can scroll down here, and then we have a responsive display ad, so we can publish this campaign. And now we are starting to develop an account that has a full funnel strategy, right? We're hitting people with search ads. If they aren't converting, we're going back and hitting them with display ads essentially. And you could go through and follow those same steps as well for a top of funnel strategy, where instead of remarketing to an audience, you could do people that are in specific audiences, maybe in service of a plumber and haven't visited your website. So it's more hitting them at the very top of the funnel. Now, the last thing that I wanted to make sure that we touch base on after this tutorial is how to manage an account after you set these ads live. Some of the things that I look for, some of the common things I do on a daily basis, essentially to go through and make sure that the campaign is in a healthy spot. So I'm going to jump into a live campaign that I have running right now. Some of the things are going to be blurred out, of course, but hopefully this will be helpful for you to get an idea of how I look at the account and how I go about making optimizations. So here we are inside of a live account, and as you can see, this is a lead generation campaign, and we have 5 different search campaigns built inside of here. And I kind of want to walk you through what you can see when conversion tracking is set up and when an account actually has data coming in. So you can see right here from the beginning, this is sorted by basically conversions or conversion value over cost. This campaign up here is producing 67 conversions or leads essentially, and then 64, 42, 26 leads, and then this one has 4.29. The reason for the 2.9 is it's an attribution, a way of attributing things. Don't get too hung up on that, but something that's very valuable to do. Now you'll notice here, one of the things that's interesting, just from an outlier perspective, you can see that the conversion rate on this campaign is 16%. This one's 30%, 15, 16. And then we have this outlier right here where we are at 3.25%. Our average cost per click is a little bit, is around the average, but then our conversion value over our cost, or our return on ad spend, is extremely low for this one. In fact, we're losing money. Every dollar that we're spending, we're getting 65 cents back. So when I see something like this at the campaign level, what I like to do is dive in a little bit deeper to understand why that is happening. So we're going to click inside of this campaign. And we only have one ad group in this one, so that makes it easy. If one ad group is getting all the budget and spending all the money, then you're going to want to pause the one that's obviously not performing. But if we click inside of here, what I want to show you is at the keyword level, something interesting is happening, right? So obviously it's kind of a short data range. Honestly, when I go through and I'm doing optimizations like this, I'll pull usually at least a month worth of data, so I can have a good amount to really make optimizations on. But pretend that this may be a little bit longer of a date range just for this sake. As you can see here, we're looking, and the average for the account conversion rate is 3.2%, but we have a keyword right here that is producing at a 13.33%. So one of the things that I would consider doing in this situation is, okay, why is this keyword performing so well? And can I go through and pause the rest of these and only run that one keyword inside of that ad group, give it all of the budget so that possibly I can maintain a 13% conversion rate, and then also a conversion value over cost of, or this one doesn't have the conversion value over cost. You can come in here to columns and then modify columns, and then we can go to conversions, and then we want conversion value over cost, add that inside of there. And you'll see that this one, or this keyword, has a 3.17 return on ad spend. So if we just went through and paused all of these other keywords except for this one, instead of having a 6.65 ROAS, going forward we'll probably have a 3% or a 3 ROAS. So that's one of the things that I watch when I'm going through and analyzing this data. Another thing that I'll go through and do, and something that I highly recommend doing on a daily or a weekly basis, depending on how big your count is, if you click inside of here and click all these keywords, you'll see something that says auction insights. This is really helpful because you can go in and click in this and see out of everybody that's bidding, how much impression share you're taking, and whether you're showing up at the top or the bottom. I'm not going to click inside of there for now, but I do want to show you the search terms report. And this is basically, these are the keywords that we're bidding on, but the search term report is the search queries that we're actually showing up for. And I apologize that all of these are kind of blurred out. I don't want to share too much inside of this account, but if we come in here to this search terms, but the data is what's really important. It doesn't really matter what the keywords are. And as you can see here, as we look at the search term report, we can go through and find different keywords. And let's say that maybe this one was one that was showing up that we didn't necessarily want to do. We could then go and add that as a negative keyword to our campaign and go through and save that. So just some of the things that I go through and I'm checking very often to make sure it's optimized inside of the account. Finally, as I mentioned before, you can look through the audiences and make bid adjustments on those. So let's go into here and check out some of the audiences that we have running, and I can kind of show you what that looks like as well. So if we come in here, you'll notice that there are the age, the gender, the household income data coming through here. And as you can see, we have this audience segment inside of here. We have the ability to go through and make a bid adjustment on that. But right now, as you can see, this audience segment is actually not performing really well. We don't have any conversions coming in from it, a conversion rate of 0. If we come to another one of these campaigns, let's see what some of these look like. As you can see, this audience segment is performing very well. So you can see it has a conversion rate of 21%. If we pulled in the conversion value over cost, let's pull that in real quick, move that over. As you can see, this audience is performing at a 3.23 ROAS. So what I would want to do in this situation is, it's performing really well. I have almost 21% conversion rate. Let's come in here to this bid adjustment and increase this by, let's say, 10%, so that we're bidding a little bit more aggressive for those people that are actually going through and converting. So those are just a few of the optimizations and things that you can go through and do when you are running a Google Ads account. Now that is not nearly all of the different tools and tricks and things that you can do, but if you made it this far in the video, I can guarantee you know more than majority of people that are working inside of Google Ads. One of the only things that we really didn't cover in this video is how to run a YouTube ads campaign. If you're interested in learning more about that, I recommend checking out this video up above. Hopefully you found this one valuable, and we'll see you in the next video.